Hello and welcome to all beautiful souls out there. You're listening to the Restore My Soul podcast with Princess Millens, your favorite grief coach and emotional wellness specialist. In this space, we will help those who struggle with grief and loss and have real conversations about how to overcome it in every area of life. Through our personal stories, practical information, and wisdom from Princess and her special guests. We are here to educate, inspire, and empower you with the strategies you need in your emotional healing journey. We do not offer medical advice, but we believe that we can all learn to heal by creating a mindset to grow past our pain and push toward our purpose. Our goal is to remind you that grief is a journey and you do not have to walk it alone. No matter what the pain or loss is, you can be restored and live fully in your purpose. So let's push through the pain together as we share our stories of resilience, one episode at a time.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Restore My Soul podcast. Thank you so much for being here with us today for another week, another push, another way that we can educate and inspire every one of you to be your best selves and to bounce back in every area of your life. So I am Princess Millens. You know, I'm your host and your favorite grief and emotional wellness specialist. I am here to guide you in this conversation, right? Let's have this conversation today. And you know, my feeling is always that we all have a story. We all have a story. We all have something to share that's going to help somebody else. So we are excited to be able to do that today with my special guest. I am so excited to have my special guest today. Her name is Lori Keesey, and she is a writer and an author, right? An awesome writer and an author with an exceptional ability to make a difference through her fictional characters. And she has enjoyed a 40-year career as a writer and now has time to pursue her childhood dream, right, of writing. And so she has written for so many publications, so many trade publications, and she has done freelance work as well and has appeared in a lot of regional and trade magazines also, and specifically in those that specialize in space exploration. Can y'all believe that? Yes, Lori was a space junkie, right? And she worked with NASA as well in public outreach for nearly 20 years. So she is an awesome wife to her husband, Kelvin, and who is a mother of 3 boys and 1 dog. And I'm so excited to welcome to the podcast today, Lori. Thank you so much for being here today. It's going to be such an amazing conversation.
I thank you for having me on, Princess. This is truly a delight. So thanks.
Absolutely. I know that we're going to help a lot of people today. You're going to share with us some valuable things. And I know you like to speak in on themes of resilience and perseverance. So I'm so excited to get into this conversation. But just to kind of start off, can you just share with the audience, how did you get into this passion of writing? How did that passion of writing come to you, and how did that all get started?
You know, Princess, I think I was born with it. When I was a little kid, I loved writing little stories. And so I would go to my Nana's and sit at her big picnic table in the back, her screened-in porch, and my cousin and I would write these little stories, and we would illustrate them, and they were pretty horrible. And then I just pursued it, and I'll tell you, teachers are really, really important. My first grade teacher told my mom that she thought that I had writing talent and that my mother should encourage me. And it took, I was off to the races really after that. I mean, honestly, just, yay, something I'm good at. Okay, I'm going to go with it. And then when I was in high school, I read To Kill a Mockingbird. For me, it is one of the most powerful stories ever written. And that's when I decided, I put it on my bucket list, I'm going to write at least one novel.
Wow.
That novel is coming out April 2nd. It's called Always Think of Me. I tried many, many, many times to write a novel. But as I've said, the words came, but the story didn't. And it did take
Oh, wow.
a tragedy for the story to take root. And I guess that's what we're here to talk about. How I
Yeah.
came to this place where I finally had a story.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I love the way this all got started. It got started about with a teacher igniting that fire in you to
Mhm,
push you to your dream and push you to your
mhm.
passion that you have right now,
That's
right?
right.
So I know the importance of that as a former, well, I can't say a former educator. I'm always an educator. I worked in the school system for 20 years. And so I know that giving a child a dream or hope for a dream is so important. And I know that sometimes, even in our dreams and our goals and our aspirations, and how we get to something is not as easy as many people think it is, right?
No,
And I
it's really hard. It's
you have
actually
to
very,
push
very hard, and you have to prepare
yourself.
yourself. You can't just go out there and say, "Hey, I'm gonna do this." Um, and Princess, I have written my whole life, but it was journalistic style writing.
Mhm.
So this whole thing about writing fiction, I had a very, very steep learning curve, and it took me 5 years or so to write this novel. I had
Yeah,
to I've read millions of books, honestly. I love fiction, but boy, it's not easy. I guess it's because, I like facts. When I was the
yeah,
journalistic writing, I'm taking other people's information. I'm not making things up from whole cloth. I use other stories, to write a
mhm,
story. But to make stuff up, it was a little alien to me. And then coming up with, well, how's this character growing? I never dawned. I mean, honestly, I was
yeah,
the first draft was downright horrific. It was
yeah.
dreck. So anyway, well, we're here now. So I
Yes,
certainly learned along the way.
oh, absolutely. And we can see this every day, even when we look at TV shows and things like that and movies, and
Mhm.
how the imagination just run wild, and we think we sit in the audience, we're saying, oh, we could have wrote a better line than that. But
Yes.
when we're doing it ourselves, it's the shoe is on the other foot.
That's
So I
exactly
want
right.
to talk a little bit about this novel and this story that you kind of had to pull out of your soul, right?
Mhm.
And so tell us a little bit about what the story was. How did you get to even want to share this story that you had to put in this book?
Well, it's funny. I must have been nearly completed the first draft when I realized that it was a love story. I didn't realize that.
Wow.
And it's an uncommon love story. And if you don't mind, Princess, I'll just read
Yeah,
a little bit from the back, if that's okay.
absolutely. Yes.
And it says, sometimes love gives you a second chance, sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes it returns in a way you could never imagine. And it's about a 33-year-old
Wow.
party boy who is aimless and he meets the woman of his dreams at an outdoor music festival. They
Yeah.
forge a very unlikely relationship that ends abruptly when she leaves. He thinks he's never going to see her again,
Mm.
but then he does. He finds himself on an otherworldly mission to see her again, and through this process, he must overcome his own fears and doubts and stop her from doing the unthinkable. So again, it is an uncommon love story. There's
Yeah.
a there's a supernatural twist to it, which
Yeah.
I hope that it resonates with people because a lot of that even happened to me. Some of the things I don't really want to go into because I don't want to have spoilers or things like
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah.
many of the things that are chronicled in that book, they
Mhm.
happened. They
Yeah.
happened. It's not
Yeah.
autobiographical, it's fiction. And the main character, TC, the party boy, was inspired by my son who died it'll be 6 years in the end of May.
Oh, wow.
And I decided No, the character isn't him precisely, my son, but I wanted to share my son's spirit.
Mm,
He was hilarious. He had this zest for life, and he made friends wherever he went. And
oh
I
wow.
simply wanted to share that spirit. And I felt like I was honoring him and also honoring God because God
Yes,
created him. I was just the
absolutely.
vessel through which this little kid came to be, my husband and I. And yeah, we miss him every day. We miss him every single day. And sometimes I think, with all the craziness in the world, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I'm kind of glad he's not around to see this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know what you mean. Listen, and that's where our stories kind of overlap because, as you know, my son passed away as well in 2018 in
Oh,
October. So it'll be 6 years this year in October for me as well.
we
And
do have a
so,
lot in common.
yes, we do. Yes, we do. And so I really understand. And that's kind of how my first book came about as well. I was thinking about him and, the things that I went through and how I got through it. And it started as a journal and I wrote it and start writing things in my journal and it became a book. So that is just so beautiful for, mothers to want to, write and continue the legacy, right? Continue
Yeah.
the legacy even
Mhm.
of our children, even the ones that we have lost and they've gone on, we want to keep that memory alive and allow others a peek into who they were, right?
Right.
And
That's right.
so, talk a little bit about the process of you going through to put his spirit into this book. What did it do to you internally? Because I know for me, I struggled a little bit. I struggled a little bit because it was like I was grieving all over again, right? So what transformation did you have to make be even to write this book and pour your soul out into this character?
Well, because the story isn't about my son per se,
Yeah,
um, it's his personality and this
yeah,
uh, and the story. I'll tell you what happened. I was so bereaved that
yeah.
I could barely function, and I couldn't understand why God had taken him.
Mm,
And it took a while for me to sort of figure it out, and I didn't figure it out. God kind of planted it in my heart. And what I decided was that, you know what? We all have a purpose.
yes, we
And
do.
God loaned my son to me for however long he planned to loan him to me. And ultimately, my son went back to him.
Mhm.
And I had to think about, okay, what was my son's purpose? And that became the crux of this story. The
Mm,
overarching theme is that everyone has a purpose, large
everybody.
or small, it
Yes,
doesn't matter. And if
yes,
you don't do your purpose, you might prevent someone else from doing his or her purpose. And that's how we're linked. The
yeah,
humankind across all people, all socioeconomic levels, we're all linked. And our
yeah,
job is to help others achieve their purposes.
yeah, yeah. And be able to fulfill and realize their dreams as well, and I just believe that because we all have a purpose, sometimes when we don't do our thing and we don't do our purpose, we're preventing other people from walking fully into their purpose because we are there to serve them in some way, right?
Yes,
And
that's
so
exactly right. You said it
yeah,
very eloquently. That's
yeah,
exactly my thinking. And what I have discovered, because you know what? You and I aren't the only ones who've lost our sons. I mean, I know
mhm,
a lot of people who've lost
yeah,
their children, and it's
yeah,
heartbreaking. And I also believe that, when something like this happens, you really do have a choice. You
yeah,
can wallow in your sorrow, or you can say, okay, what am I going to do about this? What am I going to do to make this better? And typically, what I have found because I am a blogger, I write the accidental blogger, and I write about people who've overcome adversity. And many of the people I've spoken with, they discovered peace and resilience when they
Yeah.
turned away from themselves and started looking outward. Here's one example, a horrible story. It was a woman who, her kid was 18 years old, 19 years old, and he did something really, really stupid, and he got busted. He then violated his terms of his parole, and they picked him up and threw him back in jail. This time, though, they took him away from the local jail to a facility farther west. I live in East Tennessee, and more in West Tennessee. There, he was murdered by another inmate. And can you imagine? I mean, this is beyond comprehension. But do you know what she and her husband did? They decided that they would fund the purchase of tablets so that prisoners could at least hear the word of the Lord through our
Oh,
church
wow.
services. And I'm
Yeah.
not here to proselytize. It's to me, this
It's
is
good.
how you turn something ugly into
It's
something good.
good.
Because maybe by participating in a church service,
Oh, yeah.
maybe that person's life will be transformed. And certainly that has been the case in our church. I mean, we have people inmates who've gotten out and they report immediately to our church
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
continue their journey. They know that where they were was not where they were supposed to be. And it certainly
Yeah.
wasn't the purpose in their lives. And I love
Yeah.
that.
Me too. Me too. That's such a wonderful thing. And again, you're really speaking to how we continue to help other people by sharing our stories, by going back to help and being a service to someone else, even through our tragedy, right? So
Mhm.
that now they can be free and they can walk in their purpose and they can, live their dreams as well, right? And
Mhm.
I know
Mhm.
sometimes it's hard to live our dreams when we're grieving, right?
Mhm.
So, do you have any thoughts on the relationships of our dreams and how our dreams are affected when we grieve or have loss in our lives?
Well, they can get sidetracked, can't they?
Yeah.
But it's very important that you get back on track. And
Mhm.
I took a grieving class, and one of the things that really stuck in my mind was we Americans, Westerners, whatever, we know how to acquire things. We don't know how to let things go.
Oh, wow,
And
that's good.
and it is a broken relationship. Whether it's a death or it's a divorce, a friend has
Yeah.
betrayed you, the list goes on and on. What it is a broken relationship. And somehow you have to work past this and heal your broken heart. It is a broken heart.
Yes, it is.
So that's what I kind of learned, said, oh, this makes total sense. And also, and what I said earlier, my relationship was lost, but it's not forever lost. I will see my son again. You will
Yeah.
probably you'll see yours again.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, so it's just a little bit of time where we don't get to be in the flesh with our loved ones, and that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, that's okay. And think the biggest thing that we do is we learn how to persevere. And I love that statement that you said that. And it's true that we know how to acquire things, but we don't know how to let them go. And that
Mhm,
factors into the greater the greater spectrum of when we grieve, of how we're able to bounce back and become resilient in that thing, right?
yes.
Because I see a lot of people that have gone through the same things that we have gone through, sometimes worse, and they've either bounced back or they have not for whatever reason. And
Mhm,
through this journey, we learn how to use the strategies and tools that God has given us to be able to um, pull ourselves out. You know what I'm saying? We have
mhm,
to have the strength to pull ourselves out. We have to want that. We have to find something in life that will light that fire in us to make us want to live again. Because sometimes we don't even want to live, right?
Right.
Because of the things that and then the people that we lost, you know. And so it's so important, I think, is to remember your dreams, not necessarily focus on what you've lost, but remember your dream, remember your purpose, remember that your loved one that you lost, they wouldn't want you to be in a pit somewhere. They wouldn't want you to be, just overcome and depressed by them no longer being there. We have to remember they're no longer in pain. They're no longer suffering. They are no longer, have to be and struggle through the same things that we do in life as we have to right now. So we have to, think about the things that's going to bring us joy. Isn't that right?
That's exactly right. And when you're talking, I thought of something and now it has escaped me because that's the way I'm so caught up. And I think, yeah, and I don't want to interrupt. I don't want to
Yeah.
interrupt. Um,
Interrupt.
yeah, it's terrible when you
Yeah.
lose your words. I'm usually not. I can talk. I can talk.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah. Yeah, but our dreams are very, very important. So, with that being said, can you give the audience um maybe some words of encouragement? Some words of encouragement. What would you say to that person right now who has this dream? They might be going through a difficult situation or a difficult relationship or whatever the case is. What encouragement would you give them today so that they can stay on the course?
and that was the point I wanted to make. Maybe they're going through this hardship because they will not be able to fulfill their dream completely because they first had to experience whatever it is they're going through. I mean,
Mm.
the Bible talks about it all the time. You
Yeah.
know, adversity creates perseverance and all these other gifts. And sometimes that's why this stuff happens. It's not because God hates you or someone
Yeah.
hates you. It's because this is how we learn and we grow, and we're better equipped to relate to someone else. So I think my advice would be is okay, all right, you're going through this. Embrace it. Move through the steps. Don't skip the steps. You know the grieving process. You likely went through it. You likely um, experienced one of the emotions many times before you were ever to reach acceptance. But
Yeah.
that's the goal you need to get to, so that you don't. And if you don't get through it, if you don't reach acceptance again, you'll end up embittered, and
Mm.
then you get nothing done. In fact, people don't even want to be around you because you're a
Yeah.
Debbie Downer.
Yeah.
You don't see any light in anything. And we're
Yeah.
supposed to be the light. We're
Mhm.
supposed to project it out there and encourage others.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so good. So good. And so what I hear you saying is just embrace the pain. Just
There you
embrace the
go.
whole just embrace the whole experience. And that is just so true that sometimes our purpose is tied to our pain. It's tied to the very thing that we don't want to let go of. It's tied
That's
to the
right.
very journey that we've had to travel throughout our entire lives that has brought us to this point. And so now we have to make that decision to do something with it.
That's right. And you know what? I've talked with drug addicts, I've talked with all kinds of people. And, this one woman I spoke with, she was an addict for 20 plus years. Had she not gone through that, she would never be doing what she's doing now. And that's counseling other addicts now and giving them hope. They
Yeah.
look, if she figures, if I can do it, you can do it. She was weak. She was weak in soul and spirit, terrible things had happened to her that had driven her, excuse me, to that point. So yeah, just look at it as maybe the silver lining, to use a cliche, in the cloud. You need that.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. This conversation has been so good, Lori. I hate to try to end this segment, but
It's
we
time.
have I know that through your words and through your encouragement, I know that many people will have hope now. They will have a place that they could come and listen to what you have spoken and be able to push past their pain and just like you said, embrace it all. Embrace
Mhm.
it all. And before we get out of here, I want you to share with everybody how to connect with you, how to get your books, and anything that you got coming up real quick.
Okay. They can reach me at my website, https LoriKeesey.com. There you can that's where I house all of my my accidental blogger posts. I also have a Goodreads book giveaway, and I would be love to give you that link if they like. You got to play to win if you want to win one of the free books. And that is bit.ly, bit.ly/3 capital P 5 lowercase c lowercase x 4 I, and that's also uppercase. So I hope that I go there, try to win a free book.
Okay, well, you heard it from Lori. Make sure you go out and follow her, go to her website, participate in the giveaway. It will be in the description section of this broadcast. So look down below and make sure that you click on the link and get the free giveaway. Get the free giveaway. I just want to thank you so much, Lori, for being here today, for being a guest, for sharing your encouragement, for sharing your beautiful spirit on this episode today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed chatting with you. You take care of yourself.
Absolutely. All right, y'all. This has been a great episode of Restore My Soul podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. And you heard Lori say, embrace that pain so that you can get to the place of hope that you need to push through to your purpose. You all remember to follow me at Princess Millens on all social media and my website at princessmillens.com. You all know that I believe that grief is a journey, but we don't have to walk it alone. We'll walk it together on every episode. And you all make sure that you see me next time in the next episode of the Restore My Soul podcast.
Thank you for joining another episode of Restore My Soul podcast. Be sure to listen and watch each week as we continue the conversation on how to bounce back from the setback of grief and loss and to become resilient so that you too can thrive in life. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you don't miss out on any new episodes, and share this with as many people as possible so they can be encouraged in their emotional wellness journey. We invite you to follow Princess Millens on all social media platforms and on the website at princessmillens.com. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode of the Restore My Soul podcast.